What's up, guys? This is Heis, and today we're coming at you from the scary place known as the living room, where I have once again taken over. Last time we were here, it was Lionel Trains on the Floor at the bachelor pad, and this time it is much less bachelor pad because you can see that there are pretty things here, not just trains. But there's also trains on the floor because we've had some fun experiences in Lionel Land recently that I wanted to show you guys. So let's check it out. The subject of today's video, and what was in, of course, title and thumbnail, is this Big Boy locomotive. Models of the Big Boy itself are always fantastic. It's just one of the coolest locomotives around. But this is genuinely one of the coolest locomotives I have ever seen in terms of what a model can do. I've seen lots of beautiful models. We've got a beautiful model of it in HO scale, but here in O scale, seeing something this big with this many features, done in a way that kind of blew my mind. It's just really fantastic, and I've had a lot of fun with it. I do have to say, this model as well was a little bit of a fun story of friendship, which has been the story of me and all of the things Lionel throughout. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But let's get this model rolling, shall we? And in order to get this locomotive rolling, I had to fire up the trusty ZW that's my power supply, because old school fun. And then I'm now learning about the exciting future of 2006. At least I think that's when they finished doing TMCC things. I never got to experience this because my granddad never had any of these things, and we played with ZWs on the floor, and we've gotten a little bit more advanced today. Yeah, there we go. Takes a second to wake up. Surrounded in aroma and cars derailing. Oh, it does that. One of my favorite things about this locomotive, and it's a benefit of O scale, you think about toy train smoke, and I think of kind of the basic cheapo train set toy train smoke. You know, I remember having a little Bachmann GS4 when I was a kid, and we'll talk about that one in a minute. I remember having one of those Bachmann GS4s, and it's like, oh look, it makes smoke, it's so cute, and it's like, well, it's cute and toy trainy. And some of the earlier Lionel stuff, same thing, and that's the experience I remember having as a kid. But this, with the dual fans, with the craziness that comes out, that's synced with the offset da-dump, da-dump, da-dump of a Big Boy, objectively too cool. And the volume it puts out, I mean, it's smoked out the house a little bit. There's definitely been a door opened, and a draft has been created because, yeah, it smokes the place out pretty quick. But it looks really cool, and it genuinely feels like an effect, and it's not just a toy train thing at that point. And there's more of that sort of stuff on this model the more you go around. The fact that it's got a coal load in the tender that depletes. I had no idea that they were doing that sort of thing. And I know that the whistle and the blowdown are also supposed to have steam effects. I haven't sorted out the whistle blowdown, or the whistle steam effect. And I will note, and I will say that there may be partial challenges here with what I alluded to with the story of this Big Boy. Any of you guys out there have your friends that are eternally on eBay or Facebook Marketplace, despite the fact they really don't have or shouldn't be looking for things? Those are good friends to have. shout out to Jersey, who, scrolling through eBay, saw this up on eBay, and it was listed for $300. And it was listed as a different Lionel big boy product, one of the cheaper ones. This is the Vision Line Legacy, the big flagship one. And it was buy it now for like 300 bucks. He was like, dude, you gotta roll the dice on it. So I did. So I rolled the dice on the Choo Choo, bought it, and had no idea if it was gonna be the thing, but the pictures made it look like the actual Vision Line engine. And it turns up, and it was not packaged terribly well. It's just kind of wrapped in one layer of bubble wrap in a giant box where it had been floating around in. So many replacement parts later, and some more fixes that I still need to do. The number board's a little askew. I'm thankful that it does run, and it is an amazing model, though I would not be surprised if there are a couple more details that I do need to fix with it. It took me a minute to get it to work with the TMCC remote, which again goes to friend stories. A friend of mine, Scott, gifted me one of these TMCC remotes as a Secret Santa thing. It was just so lucky that the guy who deals in Lionel got the guy who foams at Lionel on the floor for Secret Santa a year or so back. And I couldn't get it to work with his remote, but another friend of the channel, Grateful Lead, had given me his. And for whatever reason, it works with this one. Shrug. You gotta love 30-year-old electronics. But it's been a story of friendship and getting to see a really cool piece of engineering in this model. On the same line of friendship, though, is, and on the same line of friends that are staring at stuff all the time and dealing in Lionel, is the GS4. And we'll get that out and run it in just a second, but I feel truly blessed to have the friends and the supporters that I do have, because after this engine, the big boy, turned up, I basically told Jersey, like, you know, I experienced Lionel as a kid. My granddad had all the Pennsylvania Railroad stuff, and I loved all that, on playing with trains on the floors, that whole vibe. But the big boy was one of my favorite engines when I was a kid, and my granddad was very much pro small steam locomotives. He loved the little narrow gauge stuff and the little engines that had to fight it out. But, you know, as a little kid, big boy's the most exciting thing in the world, so that was one of my favorites. But the other favorite was the GS4, because it's the first engine I ever got to see.
Did you see the extra tender on the back for extra water? You were so scared, you held your ears and looked the other way.
And I don't really play around in O-scale. We play around on the floor. I don't intend to model or ever have a permanent layout in this scale because it's big, and that's a whole nother thing. But having the little taste of it on the floor, it's like, okay, well, this reminds me of the nostalgia that I love about trains. I wanted that engine, and if there was ever anything else I wanted, it would be one of those. And so the guys came back together for Christmas and found this beautiful brass O-scale 3-rail GS4 and got it for me. And then, of course, right afterwards, Scott, again, dealing in Lionel, was at a train show and goes, hey, look, I found the matching cars to your engine. They're cheap. You want me to buy them? And so my friends are really good at conning me out of my money. That's a thing about the hobby. But anyways, it's all for a good cause. Anyways, let's get the GS4 out. The freight's cleared the main, and the daylight's now on there. The GS and the cars I mentioned from Scott. And this is a conventional engine because it's an original Williams from the 80s that had never been run. And that means we gotta run it conventionally, which means we gotta break out the old ZW. And I'd be very remiss in my list of people and friends to thank for all of these various Lionel things, to not mention Blackbird Gaming, who gifted me the 072 curves when I bought this ZW from him a couple years ago, which really kind of got me back into the spirit of Lionel anyways. So cheers to you, my friend. Let's go. Anyways, guys, I hope you didn't mind coming down to the living room and seeing a little bit of O-scale takeover. O72 curves take up a ton of space. And the choo-choos will be taken off the floor, because hopefully in the nearest future there may be an opportunity for Ice House to actually happen, and they'll be moving, and so the choo-choos are going to get put away until that point, and then we'll see, you know, maybe they'll come back out if there's space, or maybe they'll come back out for Christmas time as always. But I hope you enjoyed taking a look at a little O-scale and taking a look at a fantastic piece of engineering and a beautiful model in the Lionel Big Boy, and hope you didn't mind me being mushy along the way. Anyways, guys, as always, thanks so much for watching. We'll catch y'all next time.